Hey guys, I was just going to show you how to make some graphs for your speed walking lab in Excel. So obviously this is what your data table looks like. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that our Excel matches that. So we're going to have a column for distance. Um, I always like to put the units at the top because what that allows you to do, let's put YDS, what that allows you to do is um, you could just make sure that these cells below are just numbers that you could do calculations with. We're not necessarily doing calculations with in this lab, but we are graphing them, so that'll be important for us. So we have distance in yards, we have constant um, motion, and then we recorded times. So actually, let's put this up here as a different header, and we'll put time down here, and we're measuring it in seconds. And then we're going to have two more columns with time, and then we have acceleration and deceleration. And so this is where we're going to put all of our data. I actually have some mock data that I'm going to grab real quick. Okay. And I'll put my chart over here now. To make my chart look a little bit better, I could select all the columns, double click on the end and make sure all of the column widths are automatically adjusted. I could select all the data. I could center all of the contents. I could make my column headers bold. I could put outlines. So pretty much I'm just looking to make it neater. You're going to have decimals for your times, so to make sure that they all have consistent decimal placing, I could use these buttons here to adjust them. So there we go. So that's our raw data. So now I want to make a graph. So in order to make a graph, I'm just going to go to Insert. I want to do a scatter plot. So now it's blank because I don't have any data selected. Sorry. So what I can do is right click, select data, and I want to add a series. So the series name is, these are the headers up here. So the series name, I'm going to have constant velocity. My first one, my x values. If I look over here, it says that I want my x-axis to represent time. So I'm going to select my x-axis to be time, and then my y-axis to be distance. And then there we go. We have our first data set. So I'm going to hit OK. I could add another one. This one is going to be acceleration. So x values, again, I'm going to want time, but this time I'm selecting the acceleration values. I missed one there. And then my y values, again, are distance. So I've shared y values. And then I hit OK. And I'm going to add my last series, and that's going to be deceleration. X values, again, time, and my y values, distance. And then there I go. I have a completed graph with a legend. So what you'll notice, if sometimes people want to just select the data here and then do an insert graph, and that works in a lot of cases. But what you'll notice is, so if I have time on my x-axis down here, our time went as high as 16 seconds, so you can see it caps out right here. Over here, time is actually on the y-axis. So what this does is when you select data in Excel, it automatically assumes the first column that you select is the X data. And that's not actually the case in this data table. So that's why I had to go through manually right click and go to select data. So once I have that, I want to do two things. I want to first put trend lines on this data. So first I'm going to do the constant velocity trend line. I just need to click on one of the points, right click after that, add trend line. This is actually going to be linear because I can see it's linear. But you can kind of try the different things and you see what fits it best. But you'll see that linear actually has the best fit. If I wanted to add an equation for this line, I would just select this box and put it right on there. Or I could do an r-squared value to show how well the line fits it. And so I could then close it out. And I can move this box wherever I want. So I can move it there. The next data set, I want to do acceleration. So click, right click, add trend line. this one, we're going to do a polynomial to make it fit best. But you could check the other ones, see which other ones fit well. And exponential fits pretty decent, but we're going to go with polynomial. We want equation on chart, r squared value, see how well it fits it. And there we go. So there's our equation for acceleration. And you could see that the r squared value is 0.99. We want it to be close to 1 to show that the trend line fits the data set very well. And we have one more data set, and that's our green deceleration. So click, then right click. And we want to, again, add this as a polynomial. And we want equation in r squared value, close it out. Well, this graph is kind of small, so I'm just going to make it larger. Oh, that's way too big. Oops. Undo that. Actually, it might be a good idea to right click and actually, I'm not going to do that. I was going to move it to a different tab, but we want the data table as well. So just make it bigger like that. I'm going to readjust my equations so they're kind of out of the way. And there we go. Okay, so now I have my graphs. One thing you'll notice is that these don't go down to the 0 because we actually forgot to add our 0 data, because when we're at time 0, we actually, we could add that. So time 0 all the way across, we're actually going to be at the 0 mark for distance too. So this is automatically formatting the bold. I'm going to fix that. I can fix the decimal place as well. There we go. Decrease the decimal on that one. And I just added another data point. So I could then adjust where my data is being selected. And then I'm starting at B4. I actually want B3. Or you could just click and drag new data as well. That works too. So an example of that would be, so I'm readjusting acceleration. So I want the times. I want to grab all the times this time. Y's are the distances, of course. There we go. And then fix the deceleration. Here we go. And then the distances. So now I fixed my graph to include the zeros as well. And that's going to change it ever so slightly. So now we need some titles on both our axes and the chart itself. So in order to do that, I want to go to Chart Tools, this green subtab, and I want to go to Layout. Down here, Chart Title, I could center above, I could center overlay, so the graph will end up in this area, or I could center above the chart. I'm going to do that. And then I could call this speed walking with constant velocity, acceleration, and deceleration. That's just, I mean, that's not a great title, but it works. And then I want to label my axes, so the person looking at this graph knows what's being labeled. So on up here, I want axis titles, primary horizontal axis, title below axis, and remember this is our time, and it's time in seconds. I want to include the label for the units so that they know what it's measured in. And then I want to do my vertical title, so axis title, primary axis vertical. The best one here, I think, is the rotated, and we will put the distance in yards. There we go. So now we have a good chart and we have a good table. So now we're ready to export this as a PDF. So I'm going to go to File, Save and Send, Create PDF. And I'm going to save it to somewhere where I know it's going to be. I'm going to call this Speed Walking Lab Sample. Save it to my desktop. So now what I want to do is I want to go into Google Drive and I want to upload it. So I can move this over, minimize this, find out my desktop, and just drag it right in there. And so it's going to upload that PDF. There it is. I can click and double check that it's there. Oh, well, look at that. The way it saved it, it cut off the chart. So I want to go back and I want to readjust that. So maybe I'm going to move my chart below the table so it all fits, and maybe decrease the size. So I'm going to go back, delete, and then here I can move my graph below I could, and not, this time it'll actually show me the page cutoffs, so I can actually perfectly match that. There we go. Down a tad. Now I'm going to try to resave again. So save and send, create PDF, create PDF. There we go. I want to overwrite, so find my original document. Speed Whacking Lab, replace it, yes. And then we're going to re-upload. Okay, I'm going to click on that. There we go. We see the chart, but where is my graph? I don't see a graph. That's not good. So look at that again. Maybe I had it selected. I don't know. Let me save and send again. Create PDF. Hopefully this works. Otherwise, I'm going to have to take a different route. Okay. Here we go. Delete. Re-upload. There we go. Okay, so I had selected the graph, so it only exported the graph as a PDF. And there you go. You could see that when I changed the size, this ended up down here, that formula. So I could adjust that in Excel. I should have done that before, but I can move it up so you could see it easier. And that's how you're going to upload it into Google Chrome. The next thing you want to do is you want to get a link so you could share it with me. So what you want to do is you want to share Speedwalking Lab sample. So you're going to add share, you're going to add me so I can see it when I look at it. So we're going to, actually, let's do this. We're going to do get shareable link up here rather than add me as a person. And then anyone with a link can view. So you don't even have to add me as someone that's shared with. You just have this link that you could share. And then when in your lab report template, you can go ahead and paste that right in your results section. Boom, there it goes. And then when you submit that to me, I'll have that link and I can easily load it up and I will be able to load up your PDF and be able to see your results. And that's it. If you have any questions, email me.